Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Oh, snap. I'm trying something new, so let me. Hello, everyone. Okay, I'm streaming to YouTube. How are you doing, Brad? I don't think we've ever had a chance to chat.
I'm doing well. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I just had to unmute like seven different devices. I'm doing well. How you doing? Thanks for putting this on for us.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I'm preparing for the workshop this weekend that April and I are putting on.
Awesome. Kind of lost my voice. So I'm a little bit squeaky. I don't know why either.
Yeah. So I just host these as like Q&A and or hangout session. I've completely shut down my calendar for one-on-ones, so this is my way of still being able to connect with people.
Cool. What are you working on? What's your top project now? I saw you building websites over the weekend. What's going on?
Yeah, so I'm actually trying to get that live this evening. It's been a really fun project. It's so I built it in Lovable. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's an AI website builder. And so you can have it connect to a database, do some different things. So I built out a site called Workflow Waffles. So it's more of a fun theme, but what it's going to be able to do is give me a platform to be able to sell Go High Level snapshots for different use cases within businesses, and then to get into Make.com and N8N templates, which are more AI focused.
Cool. What's your AI of choice? What do you like?
Right now, I think it would probably be Lovable, but I'm experimenting with different ones. I'm more in the build mode most days, and but why April and I are so great for partners is she does a lot of the research, so she's in tinkering with different things, and she does it a little bit on the lighter level, more with the agents, whereas I go like full build and like try to figure out how I can effectively use this to build new products or help different businesses.
Cool. That's awesome. Do you have a technical background? What got you in automation?
Yeah, I actually I have a computer science degree, and whenever I graduated from college, I started at a local company that did web development and marketing. So I've been doing automations for over a decade now.
Nice. Yeah. People get automation and AI kind of confused now. Automation's been around, a long time. So, but AI agents help, you know, with some of the logic. But, server builds, automation, it's been around for 30 years probably.
Yeah, ever since the internet, probably.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've been in high tech for like 35 years. So.
That's cool. What's your background?
Cybersecurity. So I was a Unix programmer, worked for IBM, Tanium, like I worked for tons of companies. Uh, I wrote my first program in 1981.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, there wasn't a mouse then, I'll tell you that. So yeah, we did. I've done a lot of development at multiple companies. So I did. I started out in Unix. I don't know if you know about AIX or Solaris or any of those.
I think I've heard of Solaris.
Nice.
I've definitely been in Unix before and Linux. Um, yeah, I stay away from the deeper development stuff. I'm more on the strategy end these days. That's why these AI tools fascinate me so much because I can develop as fast as I have ideas.
Hey guys, sorry I got late.
Hey, how are you?
Doing good. So you see Abigail there. So she is my director of operations. So ask her to come and join. Mhm.
Awesome.
Yeah. So yeah. So I just curious, Heather, have been seeing your messages and your posts on OC and watching your how do you say podcast you're being in, and it's very good. Seems like you have a lot of talents, and you probably saw my post that I'm looking for an integrator, right? So I'm not sure if you have time for that, if that's because it seems like you have five business now and you keep opening them up.
So I actually have a team. So under REI Integrator, I am building out a team. It's been very interesting.
Mhm.
I've added three new team members this month. One of them is a project manager, so I'm able to take on more projects. Right now, I'm not so much pushing my services because she's still getting her footing on like what the business entails, but
Mhm.
definitely have the capacity to bring on more projects.
Mhm. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do for integrator? So it's like fractional or how does it work?
So it's mostly project based. So I don't do any like long-term things within businesses. I can train your team. So if you find somebody who can come on and they're a little bit newer to the integrations and systems, I can put together documentation and help them get situated into something that my team builds. So what we do is, or what I personally love doing is the business strategy side. So I work with a lot of visionaries who they lay out the vision and then I give them all the details of like, okay, here's what the best systems to use would be. And then they're able to kind of plug and play. But I love those strategy sessions. Then we come up with a plan and then figure out tasks based on that. And my goal within REI Integrator is actually to get in and have the most impact on businesses, which you can do through systems because a lot of businesses don't even have the basic systems. They're still operating on paper or through spreadsheets. And so like just adding in some basic automation follow up into the business can have a huge benefit.
Mhm. I love that. Including AI, of course, right? Why
Yes,
not? And what about Go High Level? Are you familiar with Go High Level?
I'm in Go High Level every single day.
Yeah. So then you can do integration around that as well, right?
Yes.
Okay, so if I understood, you're gonna come forward, you understand the vision, what the projects we are working on, and you come in and optimize and build the process and procedures and hand back to us and goodbye. Is that right?
Pretty much. I mean, you're welcome to come back for more work. It doesn't have to be goodbye. But yeah, the point is to give you enough documentation where you can have your own team be able to manage them.
Okay. I have Abigail. She is supposed to be a operation integrator, so we are trying to figure out if that's what she is. So I'm thinking if we get somebody to implement all the process and systems, then she can take over from there. So that's what I tried to figure out. Do you have a way to figure that out in an interview and everything?
Yeah, I'm actually in the process of putting together that right now. I just have like you just purchase like basically an hourly package. So
Mhm.
it's 5 hours and you can view all this information on my website. Um, and you can see what I offer there. But yeah, it's very interesting about operators, and I'm sure you understand this, Abigail. Not every operator is a systems person. So, like, if you have an operator that's more of the processes and like just managing the business, managing the team, you might have to have somebody that else that comes in and builds those systems. And then, as long as they understand like how everything works, they're not doing the building, they're doing the managing. So it's a completely different mindset.
Mm-hmm. Okay, gotcha. And can a person like Abigail learn that,
Yeah,
or
I'm
something
sure
that
she can.
takes time
Yeah.
to learn because systems is different than processes, right?
Well, processes are within systems. So as long as you, Abigail, know which systems there are, and you just get in and kind of like figure out, okay, here's what's happening within the business. Here's what I need to check every day. Here's what, I need to do within the day to move everything forward. Then that's all you need to know. You don't need to know so much the building part of it.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. There's a few more people who showed up. Susie, I see you.
Hi. Hi, Heather. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Happy to be here, and I missed the first few, so
Yeah. Yeah, I've been trying to come to all your calls, so it's only fair that you come to mine.
I've been trying. I'm running here at work, but I try to get it in, so.
And hey, Kathy.
Hi. I just I want to be a fly on the wall. I'm not an integrator in any capacity at all. And I would really like to learn more about it. So I just figured I would observe and listen and see what I learned.
Yeah, that's a great approach. I think a lot of visionaries, they like pace even. Like if he hears the word integrator, he almost wants to throw up. Like 'cause I'm gonna
Yeah.
see the expression on his face, oh, like integrator, then he just walks off. But a lot of visionaries are like that. But if you understand a bit more about like what an integrator does, it just helps you find that person to fit into your business better.
Yeah, that's my that's my goal eventually is to have a team and have an integrator that is a partner of mine. And yeah, I know a lot of my stuff could probably be automated, like Brad was just talking about. However, that's for me, how do I automate? Like if I'm not an integrator, how do I even start there with automating processes? So I'm stuck in my little rut temporarily until I work through and find a partner that's an integrator, I guess. So I literally work every single day, and I say work loosely, right? Because I'm doing all of the stuff that could be automated. So whether it's clearing emails or filling in my calendar or just the menial stuff that is wasting my time, like if I could actually like get that taken care of, I know it would open up probably probably half my time in a week would be opened up. But I'm always in my office, always at the computer 7 days a week, just keeping up, doing what I can.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a process to even like figuring out what to take off of your plate. So like I've been going through that probably the past 2 months of figuring out, okay, who can I bring on? What can I take off of my plate? And I think it all starts with the foundation of systems. Like, is there some sort of digital tracking within your business that if you were to bring in somebody that they could then, take over some of these processes? And then do you do it the same way every time, or are you kind of just in there willy-nilly trying to figure things out? And I think like once you have those processes down, then it becomes the systems. So like you're building those processes into the systems, then you can automate the systems, and then you can add in AI to the systems. Like there's different levels, and you're just adding a layer in every time to make your business better and better.
Yeah. I know I was super tempted to come to your AI thing this weekend. I wanted to, however, I'm not there yet. Like I hope you do another one. I would love to come when I'm ready for that, but I am still back here. I'm working on learning more and more every day as much as I can. First step for me would probably be an EA, just to take the basic stuff, the easy stuff, the calendar, the email, that little stuff, and then really get into setting up, like you said, my processes so that a system can be built out.
Yeah, that's a great first step. I haven't taken on an EA yet because I feel like I can still manage that, but I actually took on a Go High Level VA. He started today. So excited. Because most of what I'm doing is like in Go High Level, and he has the experience, the expertise to go in and be able to take some of the things that I'm doing off of my plate. So even if it's not an EA, it could be like a different type of VA. So like just opening your mind of like, okay, here's all the skills needed in my business. What do I actually want to hand off? And it doesn't have to be an EA. It could be a bookkeeping VA, or it could be a Go High Level VA that's more techy, or it could be a marketing VA. There's different types.
Okay. Good. I'll keep that in mind. I did start a wish list for my EA, all the things I would give my EA. So maybe I'll dive deeper on that and see if maybe that would be a VA or whatever, a different person.
Yeah, and then speaking on that, April and I have something really cool in the works. We're still, I won't say the name because we literally just came up with a name yesterday, but we have the processes in the works, and what we're doing is, and I think we mentioned it on Susie's call on Friday, we're doing something like Superhumans in the Loop. So we are building up a team of AI empowered VAs. So like VAs that are actually trained on AI that can, because you always have to have that like human oversight. And so that's where we foresee the future of VAs uh, coming in.
That's amazing. That would be absolutely incredible.
Yeah. So we're going to be releasing more about that in our workshop this weekend.
Yeah. Very cool. Did you guys get a lot of people coming?
We have a handful, but we're happy with it because we're going to be so hands-on with each person. Like I had this open for testing because I'm streaming to YouTube right now, so I was testing things. And one of our workshop attendees hopped on. I'm like, this doesn't start till 4. We had a 30-minute conversation, and he's excited, and he was telling me about everything he hoped to get out of this weekend, and so he's got a lot. And I'm like, okay, well, we're gonna do a game plan. At least you'll walk away with something. So it's really fun though to get into different people's businesses and say, okay, you have all this going on. Is AI the answer? Is it not the answer? Do you just need systems? Do you need some automations? What does it all look like? And that's why April and I are such a good team, because I have a strong history in automations, and she got into AI a lot earlier than I did. So she's been in the AI realm for a couple years now. So yeah, together we're like the power team to be able to solve everyone's problems.
Yeah, I love it. That's exciting. I think AI is just gonna, well, you know that, like, oh, well, maybe not for this call, but someone asked me, there's some like AI, like multi-million dollar AI company that's being sold seller finance. And I'm like, what the heck? And I literally was thinking you and April, I should probably just forward it to you and let you take a look at it. It's either a fit or it's not, but it sounded pretty incredible.
Yeah, AI companies are hit or miss because they can be left in the dust so fast.
Mm.
There's quite a few that are just being spun up. Like people are creating AI agent companies like wrappers around different things. And if you aren't like super up to date on things, like that's last weekend's project and not this weekend's.
Yeah. Everything's like cycling through the whole like product lifespan like lightning fast, right? Used to go a lot slower. There were 8 tracks, then there were cassettes, then there were DVDs, then MP3. Like that took a couple years, but I feel like with AI, everything is accelerated and happening within months.
Yeah, within days in some cases. I know there's a lot of money that's being funneled into these AI companies to develop them really quickly. So
Mm,
it's scary how fast it's going.
yeah.
Damien, I see you in here making comments.
Hey, how's it going? You want to hear something funny? And I probably shouldn't say this, but like there's a lot of companies that are just fluff out there. Um, and so I have a W-2. I don't know if you guys knew that, but I'm a software engineer and I'm more of a DevOps engineer. So I build infrastructure automatically with code. And so I'm building like infrastructure for developers to, build out AI apps. And the company I work for is so big, and they came out with this agent operating system. And none of us really can get our hands on it. And we don't even know if it's like real or not. But like you gotta really read through the lines because I think some of these companies are just putting up these headlines just to grab customers. And when you grab the customers, then they'll start quickly building stuff like behind. And I think that's like a thing with larger companies that just have because we have like these pools of like developers and consultants that kind of just sit on the bench. There's this term about sitting on the bench and everything. So some of these companies, I think, just have these visions and they're like, okay, we're gonna like write a story about it because we think we can build it. And then if somebody actually comes and signs like $1 million contract or $5 million contract, which is like common with some of these companies, like they'll just throw hundreds of engineers on this thing and they'll get it built up in like 3 weeks. So what I'm saying is a lot of things that you see with these AI companies um spinning up or some of these larger companies like the company I'm working for, talking about these things they're doing with AI, it might be more conceptual and more like be in a proof of concept phase, but not really ready for full production. So like you'd say I would agree we're moving fast, but there's going to be a lot of bugs in stuff, and a lot of it too is like garbage in, garbage out, and you could easily like throw garbage in. You could like if you're training your model and you throw like all this garbage in, it's gonna spit that same garbage out, right? There's been some cases in regards to um legal documents or something like and judges are saying like, hey, this isn't even correct. I think you used AI to do it, and they're just like throwing out like the case and telling them to start over or something like that. I don't know if you heard anything about that. I forget who was saying it, or I think it was on a YouTube video somewhere. But it's really interesting. Like I think there's going to be a long road ahead to perfecting this stuff, and I think it's going to get regulated at some point because I worked in robotics 10 years ago, and everyone thought we're going to have a home robot, but there's so many laws, especially coming from the EU, that prevented it, and it made it so cost prohibitive to do research and development on it that even Google gave up on it with their home robot. So it's going to be interesting, and like there's also the human factor. There's a lot of people scared out there that think they're going to lose their jobs, especially people that work in like Filene's as a salesperson for jewelry. Because I was talking to somebody that had that job, and they were really nervous about losing their jobs because of AI. So
Yeah, I would be curious to see. I wish we had a crystal ball into the future, but we probably don't even want one to see like what regulations could even come out regarding AI.
yeah, yeah, but I think it's going to get regulated somehow because you know there's something about like they tried to pull the plug on some of the AI stuff and it started like trying to rebuild itself and into another version and get it running somewhere. And then there was some other AI that was, like skimming websites and it knew that like it had to punch in like some numeric code to identify as a person. And they went over and they hired somebody from TaskRabbit to do it. And that person actually typed it in. So like I don't know. I mean, like you can imagine it's like AI gets stopped and they're like, oh, we actually have to physically have somebody walk in the door and press the button to you know make the launch the rocket. So they'll hire somebody from TaskRabbit to do this. I don't know how they're going to pay them, but they'll maybe the AI will break into a bank or something like that and send something through Venmo, but it's kind of scary at sort of the levels, the levels of intelligence this thing could have, and how to prevent something from knowing that it's an AI bot accessing a system versus a human being. If it knows how to hire somebody, a person from TaskRabbit.
Yeah, I mean, what's to stop it from going off the rails, especially if it could potentially be like undetectable on the web? Like what if it gets into the dark web? I haven't heard of
Yeah.
AI in the dark
Oh
web.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And like, unmanned or unpeered agents, that nobody's looking at. And like agents spinning up at other agents to do like task by task. And you have like this primary agent running. And then it's running on the agent OS that PwC says exists, which I can't find. Like none of us on our team can get into it, which is kind of weird. Because we should be the ones testing it. So
Interesting. So what are you currently working on with AI?
me, not much. I probably not much. I probably should be doing more, but I'm playing around with Cursor, um, but not as much as I probably should, being an engineer. I'll
Have
have
you
to
seen
admit.
much?
But I use Chat GPT daily for stuff, for anything, for writing code or debugging problems. So like just say if we get like a weird um what do you call it? Like a weird bug or a weird error message that normally would take, hours to figure out. I can just throw this into Chat GPT and say, um, and then I don't know if you guys are familiar with user stories, but you'd say like, as a product manager, I would like to be able to click on this button and have this graph display. So basically it's, if you talk to it in the same old user stories that engineers have been using for years, you identify who you are and then you ask it to do something on behalf of of who you are. You say like, as a DevOps engineer, my job is to keep these systems running. I applied this patch from this, you know, from Nginx, this Nginx patch because of a vulnerability, and now it's giving me this error when it's trying to spin up. Can you help me debug this and tell me how to fix it? Right. And then it will tell you, and it will go into details because it knows you're an engineer. So it'll give you like the details on how to fix it and go in. Like, if you say you're an engineering manager, it'll probably give you some high level thing to explain to the big bosses what happened and why they're losing revenue because their website's down or something. Right. But it will tell the engineer actually how to fix it and what websites to go source and everything like that. So that's a lot of how I use it. So I'm more of a consumer than a builder now, but maybe at some point that will change. So
Have you talked to Jay Holder much?
who?
Jay Holder?
No. Well, about what? About AI? I talked to him yesterday. He was on my Zoom. So,
About
but
yeah.
but I
Yeah.
haven't talked to him about AI though.
Yeah, talk to him about AI. He's got some cool stuff that he's looking into building that would specifically help TCs and real estate people. He's wanting to do a lot of, I guess, contract analysis, or not even contract analysis, but like, I guess, automating the follow-up between having to gather, like, document gathering. So,
Hmm.
like, for a TC company, you have to do a lot of that of like, oh, send me this, send me this, send me this. He wants to build like an AI thing that would go back and forth in between that person and say, here's the things that's missing. And so it would do all the follow-up.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that would work great with short sales. Like we actually have a TC program for short sale document collection for people that process short sales. And it's like, it's usually this whole big thing, checklist of things to get. And then you're constantly going back and forth with the owner of the property to either fill the thing out right, or, this document's missing, this document needs to be updated because it's expired. It's, like a 30-day bank statement or whatever. So the new one, it's like, hey, the new one came out. Can you give that to me? So that's probably where like AI could probably help a lot there. So
Yeah, there's definitely use cases in every business where it's like, hey, if I could just take off this really annoying process from my plate and give it to AI,
Yep.
my life would be so much better.
Yep. So embarrassingly enough, I probably should be a lot farther than I am. But ironically, real estate is taking up my time away from the engineering. So I do my engineering day to day, which doesn't have me hands-on with AI too much, but I'm building the infrastructure which AI apps run on, ironically, right? But I do use ChatGPT to solve, like every day I'm on it, like at least 1 or 2 hours, to solve everyday problems and to write code too. So
It's better than Google these days. Like I had two things that I couldn't find the answer on Google today. One of them was related to my car, and I was
mm,
able to just turn on the deep search because I have an older car, it's like over a decade old. And I was like, it's a specific issue with this car. And so it was able to go into deep search mode, and I was like, oh yeah, why didn't I think of that? So then I was able to go and troubleshoot.
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, if you aren't using ChatGPT as your Google, you're missing out because it curates all the best things instead of the first
Yep.
couple results.
Oh, one cool thing I did with it. So, if anyone here does short sales, like the owner has to write a letter, right, of a hardship letter, and you work with a lot of people that don't have computers and stuff like that. So the person I was working with, I just said, just do a list with bullet points of things that you're had hardships of. So a yellow piece of paper with blue lines through it, and she wrote like her cursive was her handwriting was pretty good. But so I had her granddaughter upload the file, take a picture of the file, right? And then upload it to ChatGPT. And we asked ChatGPT to convert that into words, what was on the image, and it got everything correct, the whole thing. And then we said like, um, hey, I am an owner of a property and I am going through a short sale process and I was asked to write a hardship letter. Can you take these um bullet points and format a hardship letter and give it a somber feel to it or something like that? And it did like a perfect one. And then I was just showing them how to do it. And I was like, make it a little longer, shorten it up, make it more professional. And it got like all these different versions. So that's kind of the stuff that I'm doing with it. And I thought that was like really cool, you know. So you can have somebody like write something down on a piece of paper. It's like, hey, don't worry, you can just upload it to ChatGPT and it will just format it for you correctly, you know.
Yeah, and what's cool about that is like what I was talking about earlier, you can get VAs to take over a lot of this now. Like just say, hey, here's a task for you, and then they can go and use ChatGPT to do just as good, if not better, a job as what you can do. And it's
Right.
empowering everyone in your team to be able to do this amazing work.
Yeah, you guys can do that with your phone if you have an iPhone. So you can take a picture of anything written and you can just have it extract all the words out, all the letters.
Nice.
Didn't know that.
And we're on this call and there's only 8 of us, right? I thought there's gonna be more, no offense to anybody or whatever. I only had 8 people on my call last night anyway, or 12 people. But what that also tells us is that like we're the four what do you say, the pioneers of AI, in this space. So which makes us this small group kind of cool. Like we're actually attending, and I believe it was Kathy, who you're saying you're kind of new to it, but you're a step ahead of like what, how many other people in sub two now? It's like 13,000, right? You're
Yeah.
like ahead of like 12,990 people right now
Why do you say that?
because you're here in the room.
Ah, gotcha.
Yes, right.
Yeah, yeah. I heard that recently yeah, I think it was something Pace said about you may think you have a lot to learn, but you still know so much more than other people know. And you're
Yep.
right, being in the room, literally, yeah. I have my strengths. I definitely do. And I'm looking to create more strengths in this space as much as I can. Even just starting my YouTube channel 2 weeks ago, has my brain
Nice.
just went, yeah. I mean, I got a platform, Riverside, that was really easy for me to use. They dumbed it down super easy. And if it's super easy, then I can figure it out. And that's kind of what I've done. And yeah, just looking to grow more and more and more like that this year as much as I can, and then hire out what I can't figure out. I'm willing to try to figure things out though, you know?
So you can make 5 videos and have more videos than me on my YouTube channel. And I just started one. Oh, it's been a year almost. Wow. But I barely put anything on it,
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
So with that said, is that like, you know, you're easily can get ahead of a lot of people. I've been in the business for 23 years now, and all I have is like 5 videos up. So, but it's not like I'm not doing anything though. You know, I'm doing other
Yeah.
things. But
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I just started mine 2 weeks ago. So it's new. But I have 7 videos. So I've been working at learning. So
oh, you have
there.
7? Because now you're
Uh-huh.
already ahead of me. So,
Yeah. 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 Check it out. It's my name on YouTube, Kathy Sonner. It's pretty easy to find, but it's OC
okay.
members that I've been interviewing, the new ones. I've been interviewing all the new people to get them up to speed for Monterey, just to make sure that everybody gets a chance to see who they are and what they're doing and what they're working on. So, obviously when we all come together, and they're doing that on their own too, but when we come together, it's just nice to have kind of a framework of what everybody does. So, very intentional where
Yeah.
who you want to meet and who you want to collaborate with.
Right. Because not everybody does everything.
True.
So, and like
And they're
me,
short.
I don't like multifamily for example. I mean, I'll TC it, but like I don't really want to own like a like like the 30 units and more like that. It just
Yeah.
doesn't resonate with me and
See,
stuff.
I'm in the commercial, like 100 units and bigger in a syndication, and I
Oh,
love
so
it.
yeah, okay, so we're the opposite. Well, but that's good because then
Yeah,
I'll just go to you for anything like that, and then you'll go to
sure.
me for like single family and notes or whatever. This I
Yeah,
like those two spaces. Yeah.
yeah. No, we have a whole team, and it's a teaching container, if you will. So
Oh,
that
nice.
really is very fitting for me because we have integrators in there, right? And then they're teaching us what, underwriting and things like that. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Nice.
I like it a lot.
That's awesome. I heard from Evelyn that you were teaching on notes in your workshop, Damien, and
Oh,
I'm very
yeah, I
excited.
am. I was speaking on it last night a little bit. But yeah, we're gonna go over buying notes and yields, calculating yields on wraps and wrap loans and why you should be doing wraps versus seconds and stuff like that. So
Interesting.
yeah, and I tapped into it a little bit last night when I did the Be the Bank, but I only got like 12 people to show up. So I think it was Memorial Day, but I think I'm gonna do like another one next weekend. Kind of the same thing, but I'm gonna add a few things in there. What am I gonna add? I'm gonna add more about usury and then something else, I forget. But maybe I should put like a AI thing. Oh, I could put in like an AI thing, how to find usury. And I've also found people with NMLS licenses, servicers with NMLS licenses, because some of them you actually need to be licensed in a city like in New York. You have to have like an NMLS license in New York. Oh no, not an NMLS license. It's a like a debt collector's license for loans. And some of them you have to be in the city of New York and in the state of New York too. It's weird. But I learned all that through AI, and AI actually will give you like the web page to find out where these registrations are kept because they're kind of like all over the place. But yeah, I think we need to, in all our presentations, we should put in like how we use AI to find some of this stuff, and ask how we ask it questions. Because we're like I said, we're like the forerunners. Nobody else knows how to use it, or maybe they're scared or they're not interested even, right? And
Or they're
we have to
not.
be the ones to show them.
Yeah, they might not just be talking about it. There's a lot of people who are approaching April, just with like, I'm building this entire AI project, and nobody knew they were doing anything, but they're doing these really cool things behind the scenes.
Mm. Yeah, like I said, I should be doing way, way more. We're having a hackathon actually. Um, Last year I went to the hackathon and I went as a Python programmer. I spent the whole day writing code, which is weird because I haven't done that in like 8 years. And um, we weren't really like allowed or encouraged to use AI to help us write code, but this year they switched it, and the whole thing is about you're going to use Cursor as your IDE, right, to develop the code, and you're going to be a peer programming with AI to build whatever the application you're tasked to. So I'm hoping, like, I already asked the guy if I can go through it again because a lot of times they don't let you go through more than once. But they said because it's going to be so different that they're letting everybody go through again. So I'm probably going to learn a lot and be burned out and stuff and mind exploding. But that should be pretty challenging. So
Sure, it makes my mind want to explode anyway. Like the way that it just goes like as it's
yeah,
writing code, it's too hard to keep up with, and you have to keep an eye on the like what it's doing. Otherwise, it'll just completely go off the rails.
yeah. And I don't know if you're interested or anyone here is interested, but like maybe you can hold me accountable to like get into Cursor and make some videos and stuff and tutorials on how to peer program with AI and stuff like that inside of an IDE. You guys know what an IDE is, right? Integrated development environments, like
I do, but I don't think we have any other developers in here.
yeah, like Visual Studio, right? Like I guess a lot of people don't know what it is really, but it's a place that where you write code. You can write code in Notepad, but if you use like a program to do it like an IDE, like it integrates with your source control, your build. It like highlights like the parentheses green when they're matching, red when they're not. So it basically helps you write code um better, more efficient. It spaces it out. So that's what IDE does really. So you can use Notepad, which gives you like nothing, right? Because that's all you need, really, But the IDE makes you go really quicker because it integrates and it just makes it easier, the development experience easier. So, and like everybody fell asleep the last 2 minutes while I'm talking about this because nobody cares. But that's what
No,
it
no, I
is.
care.
Okay, okay.
Like I said, I've been programming for 30 years. So, and
Oh,
the
so
other
you
thing it
know.
does is you can use it to follow variables, right? So maybe
Oh,
you're calling a
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
variable in one file, it will tell you other files that it's at. You can tell where it's defined. So there's way more to it. But yeah, you
Yep.
gave it the high level.
And if you're doing object-oriented programming, you just type the object, you put period, and you get all of the fields that are for that object or functions, right?
Yeah, you get the
So yeah,
properties of the function. Yep. Yep.
yep.
But cursor, yeah. So the thing with cursor or lovable, or there's a bunch of them where there's two parts to it. One is you can type in an idea and it will write you some code. Um, and then in the IDE, if you have the code and you're working on it, you can modify certain sections. So, for example, you could say, I got this website and I go, hey, on the third page here, I want to have a login, right, for the backend or something, right? Or hey, I want to integrate with Node.js, or hey, I need a form that collects data, then I want to shove it into a database, and then I want to send it over to Go High Level, and then I want to send them emails. So then you're starting to get into something more complex. But yeah, that's what you use for.
Yeah. It's funny. I built the LOI blaster like in like 10 minutes. I was on a Zoom with John McAllister and I just built the thing in like 10 minutes, like just describe what it needed. Like like basically, an Excel spreadsheet. Um, each line on the Excel spreadsheet has an email address and a property address, and then a suggested listing price or something like that. I want to send an email to each of these people with a template, and then I wanted to divide that number, the listing price number by what did I say, or multiply it by 75% or something. And then I want to send the email. The funny thing is like, so it gave me um no, okay, so it didn't give me the flat file. Like I described what the flat file looked like. And the thing where it got stuck was the email. So it's like it suggested SMTP server integrations, which is interesting. And then it's like then it asks you, is like, do you want to learn deeper? You want to go deeper into any of these suggestions? Like one of them was like Amazon, whatever Amazon relays are, maybe SendGrid or something. And then you say yes, and it told you exactly how to set it up too. And I'm still like, you know what? I still think you need like an engineer to step in to set this piece up, set the email integration up, because there's a few steps
Well,
to,
dude,
to go
so
with that. But it did it pretty quick, like just to build the whole LOI blaster like that, like in, maybe 10 minutes, just of me going back and forth to get to that point. That's where I stopped, is where the email integration was.
yeah, because it doesn't have an email system, so it can't do it. But yeah, I mean, another example, I don't know if you guys know, but you can tell it what to, how to process the results, right? So most of the time you just say, hey, give me a CSV, right? So then you can use it. What I do with mine is I take all my bank statements, download them, and I just put them in Chat GPT, and I said, spit it out. Say, I want the merchant, I want the date, and I want the amount, and it just spits out an Excel spreadsheet for me for all my
Oh, nice.
transactions.
I have a spreadsheet of like 50 credit cards, and something I built that tells me, um, what it takes to get to 10%, what it takes to get to 30%. I used to have like 90 grand in debt on credit cards, and I just moved everything over. I pulled money out of another property, but I'm like, how could I? This is like, how could I build an AI that would give me like suggest what like card to pay down first and stuff like that. Um, and like where like how to report on credit, because it's better to get everything under 30, then it's even better to get everything under 10, kind of thing. So like, and have something where it could build something like that Excel spreadsheet, and kind of like give you feedback on it, and it also gives you like I had the APR on all of them as well too. So
So do you use projects in Chat GPT?
projects, no.
Oh, so if you use projects, you can just do that. So you can just put all your information and it just keeps it. And then you can just ask it questions. Or do you use Notebook LLM?
Notebook LLM
Yeah, that is the best
sounds
thing ever.
sounds familiar,
Heather,
Get
you use
into that.
Notebook
but I
LLM?
haven't. No,
I I
I don't think I've
am.
used it.
So one thing that I'm trying to figure out is I have 6 months worth of meetings in Fathom recording, so it builds out the transcript. So I'm in the process of moving those transcripts over into like a database so that something like Notebook LLM. I don't know if it'll be that specifically, but I can ask it questions or ask it to build me social media content based on the content of all those meetings because I've had a ton of them.
Yeah, exactly. So what you can also do is like, for example, say I get my credit card statements, I can put them all up there, and then I can just ask it questions like, how much should I spend on, you know, food, and how much should I spend on electricity? And so you can upload any documents and just ask it questions. But the coolest thing is you can do research. So you can give it URL links. So the best thing is you could say, hey, I'm trying to research something, and you give it like 4 or 5 links, it goes out and gathers the data. And then the nice thing is it stores it there. So you can just keep querying it and asking questions about it and then dig deeper and deeper. So it's pretty wild.
Yeah, you can also feed it YouTube videos. So if you have a few like longer pace YouTube videos where you just want it to consume all the content, then you can ask it questions.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, it takes a lot of different formats, which is sweet.
Yeah. Monique, how are you?
I'm doing good. I wasn't sure I was going to make it today. I was a little bit late.
Are you using AI at all?
I am, but mostly Chat GPT, and I've used Grok. I've used all the Manus, all of them, like just a little bit. Nothing elaborate that I've done yet. I have things I'd like to do, but it just seemed like times is I really, really would like to get more into uh getting some bots for my company. I think it'd help really raise the bar here with what we're doing and all of my girls and what their daily tasks and things that they're working on would help alleviate some of the frustrations they're getting from the kickbacks from the insurance companies that aren't providing the proper information for the payout for our clients.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I'm sure there's definitely some stuff that could be done, especially if it's mostly the same messaging. I
Mhm.
I don't know if you can trust AI agents enough to just
Mhm.
completely manage email communications, especially if it's with something like an insurance company. But it could probably get most of the way there. Or you could do it where it drafts emails. I've seen automations where it will do everything up to the drafting and then you can review it and hit send. And so I could at least save a bunch of time there.
Well, there are a lot of like tasks they have to do and specific guidelines that are requested from different insurance companies, depending on which insurance company the claim is from. So then we have to follow, and if the girls make a mistake, then it kicks back to us, and then we have to go back to them, and this back and forth thing when we're trying to we have our own professional criteria of what we know we need to follow, but we also need to also be considered as certain criteria that the insurance companies want from us on jobs that they send to us, jobs that come organic to us, then we can definitely follow what we know professionally needs to be followed.
Mhm.
So there's like, you gotta know every single insurance company, every single job where it came from. And if it was from the insurance company, if it was not from the insurance company, and then be able to put all the pieces together.
Yeah, and that's definitely seems possible.
It feels like sometimes a monumental task because of all the changes, and it's like, do I go here? Do I go there? And how do I actually knock this whole thing out and put it together? So
So one thing I've been diving deeper into is N8N. Um, and that's basically like a really complex Zapier or Make.com,
Mhm.
but I've seen some really like amazing build outs with that. And that's what I think April is going to be purchasing. She's paying somebody to set up a server. You can set up your own server, and so you're just paying hosting fees, and then all of the calls and things you just have to pay for the service that it's connecting to, but the N8N is actually free once you get it on self-hosted. So we're looking into that, maybe even providing that as a service, the community of setting up N8N servers. And then like I'm one thing with and I you joined late, so I did mention at the very beginning the thing I'm working on, it's called Workflow Waffles. And
Mm.
so it's all these little waffle recipes, but one of the things that I'm going to be adding in there is N8N templates. So if there's a use case that you want to see, like that's I think going to be the hardest part about this is like, okay, here's this problem and that everyone's encountering in their businesses. How can I like solve that problem through a template that would save everyone time?
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. I run it at home, and then I also use a local LLM, so I don't have to pay for anything.
It's
Nice.
called NADN
And
N8N.
and 8N. I haven't
It,
seen
it
that one.
it can get complicated, but you can also just the templates. You can just have AI build the templates for you. You can just say your problem, and then it'll have it. So one of the things it does is it's like an automation tool, um, but then you can plug in AI agents that you write, and you can write any one you want. You can they have some out of the box, like for example, maybe it's integrated with Google Drive. So for example, if you want to upload a file to Google Drive and then it sees there's a new file and then it reads the file and then it does something, that's what N8N does. So it can integrate with all kinds of different um, tools like your email, Gmail, or pretty much anything you want.
So give me an example of what that would look like and like give me a little snippet of, hey, here's a problem and here's how I would solve it with NA8, the exact like specifics.
Okay, so one example would be you get an email, it parses the email and decides if that's a sales question, a support question, a personal question, and then it routes that email. Or is it a calendar and it adds a calendar event? So that would be one simple automation. And then it could go to the next step. So then, okay, now it's in support. Then you can just build these buildings blocks. So then it goes to support and it goes, well, what type of product is, I've got 5 different products. So in your case, it could be, oh, this comes in and it's Aetna. Okay, now it's Aetna. Well, what kind of problem with Aetna? Oh, well, they're missing this document. Oh, well, what's this document? And it goes out and then it would research that document. So at each branch, it would have a little logic tree and it could just filter through. It's kind of like a conveyor belt where, you're building a car. One stage puts on the wheels, the next puts on the steering wheel. Does that help?
Yeah, that did. So in other words, so N8N acts almost like an agent in and of itself.
Oh, it can have any number of agents.
Okay.
So if you just Google N8N and
Yeah.
templates like Heather was saying, so the template is the recipe, right? So that's what
Okay.
tells it what to do. And it can be as complex as you want. So pretty much anything you can imagine, you could conceivably build. The challenge is, as Heather was alluding to, is that right now AI is only about 80% accurate on what it reads. So for example, 2 out of 10 emails, it will probably get it wrong. So you need to have checks and balances. It's not 100% because it has to it has to read it and it has to understand it. Well, if it's complex, then it doesn't always get it right. The other thing is, go ahead.
So as long as I have a human who is overseeing every single task, but yet not doing every single task, that actually could be a benefit because they're making sure it's accurate. No different than if they had an assistant. They tell the assistant to do something and then they got to make sure they did it right.
Yeah, or have that automated in the QA. So what you can do is you can reduce that by asking the question 3 or 4 times, right? So then you reduce your probability of an error. And then also like double checking the answer. So that's kind of that. The other thing is this thing called injection. So there's some security things that you got to watch out because if you don't write your agents correct, the person who sends the email can give it kind of like a pre-thought. So, these are not the droids you were looking for, right? You could, in the email, if someone's smart, they can tell it what answer it wants. So, for example, approve me for this loan. I mean, that's an exaggeration. But so then if it automates it, it goes, oh, I think I should approve this guy for a loan. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's pretty complicated. I don't know, Heather, you could jump in. I know I'm kind of rambling there, but
That's
That's
something I
interesting.
haven't even really thought about is the injection from malicious users for people like AI agents that are reading it. Like, what could they even have them do? Could they, um, man, that's kind of scary to think about.
is extremely scary. So
Yeah.
you should think of security a lot. As a matter of fact, there was a guy who was on the internet was bragging about his high level. He wasn't sub 2 or anybody that I know of, but um, he wrote all this stuff up and built it all himself, and then smart hackers just hacked in, got all of his credentials because he put them in there for integration. So then they got his email and then they got in his account and then they just totally wrecked him.
Dang.
Yeah, so be careful
That would bite,
your
yeah.
automation because if you automate too much, if you want to run it just like lights out, meaning nobody, then you have to give it a lot more autonomy, and then you also have to give it credentials, right? You have to give it if you want it to automate your email, well, it's got to know how to log into your email.
Mm-hmm.
If you
Yeah,
want it, yeah.
But-
So anyway, careful.
but for credentials though, you can use a Key Vault store, right? And a lot of people don't know what that is or how to use that properly because you can do that programmatically. With the Hashi, especially with the Hashi tools, right? Like they have like a nice CLI, they have an API. So you don't even have to know the password. You just need to know how to get it programmatically,
I
right?
know,
So
and that's what
nobody
they're
can
doing.
hack
They're
it.
programmatically getting it. It's not like, hey, my password's killer. They're getting the key that you got from
Yeah.
Google.
But the thing is, you can put security around that. You could say,
That's my point.
okay,
Yeah,
you
absolutely. That's
this
exactly
is
right. That's what I'm trying to say. He
yeah,
didn't do that. If you
right.
just
Yeah,
go in
he
there and do a
clear
simple
text.
thing, absolutely. That's my
Clear
whole
text
point.
inside of Go High
You can
Level is
leave your
probably what he
doors
did.
unlocked or not. That's up to you.
Yep. But if you use like HashiCorp, right, you'll get a say if you use their
That doesn't
CLI or
matter.
API.
Doesn't matter though.
No, it
So
does.
you're getting that from Google anyway. Google's giving you the
Yeah,
the
but
value.
you're not storing that password in text inside of Go High Level. It's inside a vault encrypted. And with you can actually add that like when you're using the API to get the password, it can only be from this IP address, right? And then you have tokens that like you can expire them like
Yeah, but
every day if you
you're
want to.
exactly right. You're just saying what you should do. Now, I'm saying he did. If you don't do all
No,
that,
no, exactly. But what I'm
yeah,
saying
yeah,
is there's tools out there to be more secure, and there's going to be a lot of people
absolutely,
that,
absolutely. Google's secure. I'm just saying,
and
be
that's why we're,
careful. Yes, you can secure
yeah,
it, but you can also just go into 8 in 8 and put in your credentials that you got from Google, right? You can you can just do so when you integrate with for example, say you want to integrate with OpenAI, you go get an OpenAI API key, right?
mhm.
And you just plug it in. Don't do that. That's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, never mind. I see some eyes glossing over. I didn't mean to do that. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not sure about like how to protect like the open and AI key, for example, but like there's a lot of places that give you like tokens that will require you to actually log in at some point, like every because that's like how GitHub is, right? And like SendGrid, for example, like their tokens, you can say only this is only used from this IP address, right? And that's it. So even if somebody gets the token, they're not going to be able to use it from their servers anyway, kind of thing.
No, but they're in your server to get it. They've
Yeah, I
hacked
don't.
into your system. They're not getting it from afar.
Oh, yeah, but they have to use it from your system, is what I'm saying,
I know they're
right?
in. That's how they're getting it from your system.
But somebody can like break in and they can cat files, but they not might necessarily not be able to run like programs and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean
Understood.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm?
No, I just say I did 30 years cybersecurity. I understand the problem. I'm just saying, if you don't set it up properly, you can lose your credentials.
Yeah,
Because here's
I
the
think
thing:
we're
is
agreeing with each other. By the way,
yeah, no, but
we're just getting too technical, for everybody. I think, but we are agreeing with each other.
well, what I'm trying to say is though, is with the AI and the agents, when you get inside, you can ask it questions like that, and you can get information that you can then go use for malicious activity. See, that's my point. Is you're inside. You're not reading the hash off of somebody's notepad or something. Anyway, like I
So in
said,
other
we're
words, they got to put together, like you said, you did cybersecurity. So right now, it seems like to me, they really need to amp it up with AI cyber type of security.
well that and just
They-
anytime you build a complex system where you're calling multiple
yeah.
um other tools, right? So
No, you
um
totally makes sense, Brad. It makes sense for your saying, and definitely people need to protect themselves. And I don't think I would have thought about that all the way through. Kind of a little bit like, do I really want to give my password to my email to some random agent type of thing? But at the same time, while everybody else is doing it and it's working and this and that, but being able to really dive into determine what do I give or what don't I give is probably going to be a big deal.
yeah, exactly. And then also if you're building a website that's trying to integrate all that together.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's just food for thought, guys. Sorry to hijack it.
No, it's good thoughts.
Sounds like a business that needs to, people need to now run. AI cybersecurity. Or start.
It is. It is.
Yeah, cybersecurity is like 10% of what I've been doing. So there's usually like we have a cybersecurity guy in my division, and then we have like a whole cybersecurity team for the firm that I work with. But I've always done that for like smaller companies that I've gone in and consulted with. Like usually they don't have a cybersecurity guy. So I would do like the Linux hardening and stuff like that, the Chef and Puppet, stuff like that for years on Linux systems.
That's awesome.
So your
That's great.
guy that you talked about, Heather, today, you put in Kajabi, he does fractional COO. Is he somebody that could look at like AI type of stuff and determine, okay, these are some things that you might want to plug into your company as well that would be helpful?
I think he's messed around with AI, but I don't know if he would be the one to recommend. He's more on the ops side, so
Okay.
whenever you think about integration versus ops, he's very much the people and the management.
Okay, got it.
Well, we are 7 minutes past. This was a great call, you guys. We talked about lots of things.
Thank you for
Thank you.
taking your time today, Heather, and we appreciate everything you do in the community.
Yeah, I feel like just some place to like talk about AI is
Mhm.
super cool because I mean I'm launching a second AI podcast this weekend, so I'm gonna have two. But that's just
Nice.
like people talking to you. It's not you being involved in the conversation and like asking how it works in your business.
The new one you're starting, you're saying it's just going to be talking to you?
Well, all podcasts just talk to you.
Yeah.
I'm saying instead of like just listening to a podcast, you can actually like have a conversation and
Okay, got it. That's kind of cool. That'll be nice.
yeah.
Cool.
Edgar, how are you?
Good. I'm trying out Claude right now in Notebook LM as we're going through his messages, and I'm uploading stuff for work.
It's awesome. Yeah, you're still at work. I remember from last week.
Yeah, a little busier today because yesterday was a holiday, so playing catch up.
Yeah, I totally get that. I just worked all weekend, so no catch up for me.
I went and played all weekend because it was my birthday weekend. So, and everybody was celebrating my birthday weekend. Can go imagine. Memorial Day weekend. It was
Yeah,
fun.
awesome.
I
Cool.
think I
Thank
owe
you,
you
Heather.
a text, Edgar, or something.
You don't owe me anything.
I think you sent me a text and I haven't got everything done on my texts that are coming through. So,
I was in the WhatsApp group chat, just happy birthday. That was it.
oh, thank you.
You're welcome. See you
Awesome.
next time.
Yeah.
Thanks, Heather.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.